Ahoy hoy gang, if this is your first time with us, welcome! And if you're joining us from a previous video, hey, we love to see it and I hope you're doing well. It's Season 6! The second of the post-ISIS seasons, and where last time it was booger sugar shenanigans, this season is all about top secret blacklist government missions! Hoo-wee! Now how could any season of Archer thrive in the long shadow of Archer Vice? How could any season stand up to the peak beauty that was Season 5? Perhaps bringing on some sort of toast-making companion could save the day. Well, there's only one way to find out and 3 questions to be asked. What worked? What failed? What cyborg corn burials will be curtailed? It's all treats and no tricks here as we review Season 6. After being told that he's a father, Sterling does the only thing that makes sense to him and runs off to Asia for 6 weeks on a mission and looking for any excuse to not go home and deal with his new reality. And so, as he's running through the jungles of Borneo, he runs into Sato Kentaro, a Japanese soldier that has no idea the war is over and refuses to believe it's not the 1940s anymore. Sato would be played by Togo Igawa, who honestly does a really great job with his performance. He sounds very out of time and place and still manages to be resilient when he's effectively been stuck in a jungle for over 50 years. The B story on top of this is utterly fantastic. While Archer is trying to get his mission done and has to deal with his new partner, Pam and Cheryl have designed the new spy office and it's literally the exact same as it was before they got raided, but with one very important addition. On top of a secret Japanese onsen no one cares about, they also have a Milton! Everyone's favorite toast-making robo-assistant. He's a copier on wheels with a built-in toaster and he's utterly glorious. He's Milton. I don't know, I love me some Milton. And as Mallory is actively losing her mind, Archer gets his sat phone, looks up Sato's family, and calls them so he can talk to his wife that he hadn't seen in decades. Archer actively works to get Sato to go home and be with his family. Again, Archer is a flawed agent and a flawed person, but over time he's gotten noticeably better. He understands the weight of a family and he even goes home to confront his new future, where Lana starts setting up some ground rules. It's a return to normal while still acknowledging you can never really go all the way back, and I honestly kinda love it. It's a great way to kick off a season and shows that they knew where they wanted to take this idea. Again, Togo Igawa is incredible as Sato, and everyone is still in absolute top form, with Judy Greer making Cheryl this just beautifully chaotic creature. I mean, I have not talked about her a lot, but she does amazing work. I mean, Cheryl is such an important institution now, and I'm kind of about it. The Holdout is worth the wait, 10 out of 10. Just gonna bring it up here, but this would be one of the first appearances of Carlos Alazraqui in the series, and he'd pop up until the end of Season 14, which really just goes to show the kind of vocal star power they're bringing on for the series, and it really kind of shines. Fred Tatasciore would also join in as sort of the miscellaneous crew later on. And I mean, on top of having Christian Slater as a recurring character as well as Gary Cole, you have legends like these two and Gary Anthony Williams filling in background voices and doing a phenomenal job. Anyway, Slater sends Lana and Archer on a mission to help an agent working for the CIA, Conway Stern. They go to Argentina to find Conway, and Mallory is on babysit AJ duty, where AJ eventually disappears and throws Mallory into panic mode. Everyone starts looking for AJ and eventually find her with Krieger, who's making a robo teddy bear and trying to get market research, while Lana and Archer talk about what should happen with AJ if anything happens to them, while dealing with the totally honest and not gonna betray them at all, Conway Stern. Turns out Conway was like a triple agent at this point, is trying to take the information on every agent in Argentina and sell it to the Russians after betraying Lana and Archer, to the shock of I have to hope no one. He loses another hand and reveals that his name, Conway Stern, was in fact his real name. We also find out that if anything happens to Lana, AJ would immediately go to live with Lana's parents or sister, not Archer. Which, all things considered, makes absolute sense. Archer is a secret agent. He's not the best choice to raise a kid, but he still wants to try. He still wants to be there for AJ, and that does mean something. The episode as a whole is fine, but Conway feels more like a pointless vehicle that exists just to give Lana and Archer a chance to talk about their kid, and that's perfectly tolerable. It just doesn't do anything beyond that. Archer is at its strongest when it's telling grounded stories against high-action spy shenanigans. It's just Conway Stern isn't really the vehicle for it. Give us a Slater episode. Give us them doing anything else. I could not care any more about Conway Stern. I really hope this is the last we see of him. Odd, depressing foreshadowing. 3 to Tango is a hand-raising 8 out of 10. Reno Hoshino, who was in The Holdout, as well as comedy legend Rob Hubel, would guest star this episode. Dragon Shumway's here! It's the obligatory assassin on the mountain and no one has any idea who the actual assassin is plot. So many oddly specific tropes. Archer, Lana, and Ray are all on a mountain excursion to try and take out an assassin, and Archer forgot the mission intel, except that the assassin was from an Axis country. Their climb leader is Irish, and they're joined by a German, Japanese, and Italian climber. I wonder who the assassin is. If you're playing at home, did you guess the Irish climb leader? Hey, congrats, you win the prize. That's really the shining beacon of Adam Reed's writing and directing style, though. Remember, up to this point, he's directed almost every single episode and written every single episode of the show. This is all carefully crafted to tell a dumb, fun story in the best possible way. Lana, Ray, and Archer are actualized secret agents that have understandable flaws and screw up from time to time, except they keep screwing up on CIA missions, which is odd for them. The B story has Cheryl, Pam, and Krieger afraid that AJ is in a fumigated apartment and end up getting gas to try and save the baby that was never in any real danger. The highlight of the episode is absolutely the dialogue and joke delivery. It does sort of drag in the middle and the end feels very much like a season 2 or 3 twist, but it almost feels nostalgic in a weird way. It's good fun that feels like old Archer. It just never really goes beyond that. It's a totally fine episode, one that is probably the best to watch on repeat of the season, but overall, you've seen better episodes. The Archer sanction is a mountain scaling 8 out of 10. Lana wants to go to a Ceres training camp and can't find anyone to babysit AJ. She's desperate and out of options, and that's when Cyril swoops in to save the day and offers to watch AJ and stay near the camp so that she can check on AJ whenever she needs to, all in an attempt to sleep with her again, because Cyril will always be Cyril. I really kind of love that they make sure you remember Cyril isn't some altruistic guy. There's always something bubbling under the surface. Now, why am I speedrunning the B story? Because the A story is straight, pasteurized, and processed, extra sharp heat. Pam's sister Edie is getting married and she wasn't asked to be the maid of honor. Edie would be played by Allison Tolman. And so Archer goes with Pam to Cheese Country, Wisconsin as her +1 and helps her face her family. Oh, and Barry's there going full evil Barry after Katya left him. This is genuinely one of the best episodes of a pretty solid season, all things considered. It's just Archer being there for Pam as Edie bullies and pushes it around, while Pam is there for Archer when Barry comes a-knockin'. It really establishes Archer and Pam as just genuine best friends. Archer from the first season would have never helped Pam and wouldn't care if Barry took her hostage. But instead, now he's actively standing up for her and showing that she matters. Before, he'd be hitting her with a dolphin. Now he's actually listening to her feelings. They shotgun blast Barry with incendiary rounds and he does the whole Terminator thing, while Edie's fiance runs up on the throat goat at the rehearsal dinner and Karma shows how cruel a mistress she can really be with the Glugsuck 9000. Edie's wedding is a corn-fed and barn-raising 10 out of 10. Now, this is just a top 10 episode, no questions asked. Mallory wants everyone in the office at 7 a.m. for a mandatory meeting. They all get in the elevator, and as they're going up, it malfunctions and completely stops working, leaving everyone stranded and struggling to break out. There's no one to save them other than a toast-making Milton, and the gang all proceed to lose their minds. The gang gets trapped in an elevator. That's it. That's the whole episode, and it's honestly an absolute masterpiece. This is Adam Reed's dialogue at its sharpest. This is everyone's character performances at their absolute best. There are no major action scenes or dramatic twists or turns. It's literally just the gang breaking out of an elevator and eviscerating each other when they start to feel trapped, literally all culminating with Mallory resetting the elevator and revealing she wanted to do a teamwork exercise by watching Vision Quest. Which, fun fact, has the first appearance on screen of Madonna in it. So, hey, the more you know, I guess. It's the episode that feels the most like a C-Lab 2021 episode. The gang gets stuck somewhere and the entire episode is just the dialogue, and that's honestly amazing. Sort of like the Closet episode in 2021, where everything's dark and you just go by what they're saying. It's great to have one of these super basic concepts 6 seasons in. It reminds you what makes the show so special and how these court players have grown yet stayed almost the exact same through the years. They've had growth, but when they're pressured, they will always slip into their vices. They will always start fighting, they'll always start drinking, they'll always start jerking, whatever it takes to get through the day. Vision Quest is an eye-opening 10 out of 10. This is an episode. Archer has to babysit AJ and the gang are having their monthly poker night at the office. While Archer is babysitting, Slater comes and drops off an agent named Farouk who needs a place to crash after his safe house got compromised. Farouk will be played by Eternals star, remember Eternals? Kumail Nanjiani. When Slater leaves, Farouk takes AJ and Archer hostage to get into the office's mainframe, and Archer has to play along to try and keep AJ safe while starting to fill with an unquenchable rage as his daughter is endangered. Archer gets Pam to take AJ from Farouk and run off King Kong style, and he proceeds to try and take down Farouk until it's revealed that it was all a test to see if Archer could take care of AJ, all orchestrated by Lana. Slater was in on it, and Farouk is an improv actor, and I was just so underwhelmed by the conclusion. I don't know. Having it start with Slater being on board and then Farouk was actually evil and not the improv actor they thought he was probably would have worked better overall, but I don't know. He was actively shooting at people. That's not improv people stuff. It never really felt all that believable. It's not a horrid episode, but it just kind of stumbles in the third act. That being said, Kumail Nanjiani is great as Farouk, and all of his delivery is phenomenal. I honestly would have loved to see more of this character throughout the series because he just feels so natural. I just think this episode is an overall execution failure. Sitting is a yes and providing 7 out of 10. Archer's drunk and can't take a train or car home from Vegas, so Ray goes to pick him up in a plane, and they get shot down over Nellis Air Force Base. That's right, it's the Area 51 episode. All things considered, while Slater is around more, there's a lot more just one-off adventures this season compared to the last. They don't have a product they need to sell or a goal to reach, so it's just sort of more classic Archer as we knew it. It's a return to form, and again, Nellis feels very much like a season 2 or 3 episode. Though, Archer got wasted because of Lana's trust exercise in the previous episode, which is honestly super understandable. She really played with his emotions on that one and would understandably shake up a guy like Archer who has a thing about trust issues. He's actively trying to be better for AJ, and people are manipulating that. It's a low blow, not a great look for Lana. That being said, she also had a reason for doing it, which shows that these are well-rounded characters. And even the B story of this episode really highlights that, with Mallory negotiating with Lana about getting AJ's middle name changed to Mallory. And the A story is Archer getting the Air Force Base to believe they're military and get them a plane home. Krieger and Pam run into some Greys that tell them the secrets to the universe, and that's really about it to the episode, which again is fine. You don't always need season-long narratives, and it's honestly kind of relaxing that not every episode has dire consequences, and that seasons can breathe a little bit with a good, hearty 13-episode run. What? What do you mean this is the last season with 13 episodes? 8? What are they going to do with 8 episodes a season? What is this, a season for ants? Nellis is a ton of spy fun and an intergalactic 8 out of 10. Why not just make 16 episode seasons and smash seasons together? That's all I'm saying. Seems like a good idea. Hey, a new episode. The B story? So glad you asked. Pam has to pull Krieger's van up a hill and it breaks down and he forgets to lift the parking brake. Oh, silly office hijinks. Cheryl starts throwing bowling balls down the street. Classic Cheryl. Honestly, the B story is fantastic and really helps break up the A story that honestly needs the levity of it. After all, the A story is Lana, Archer, and AJ all going to meet Lana's parents who still believe Lana's a doctor. Lana's father, Lemuel, would be played by the gargoyle leading, cat-bat singing voice providing, vocal superstar, Keith David. And her mother, Claudette, would be played by the masterful actor of voice and screen, the original Amanda Waller. She puts the she in the shield, CCH Pounder. Easily two of the biggest gets of the season, and they are fantastic as Lana's parents. Basically, Archer is trying to repair his image to Lana's parents, and Lana has to come clean, and it's easily one of the strongest Lana episodes of the entire series, since we get to see that Lana isn't a perfect person either. There's actually some commiserating between Archer and Lana that I genuinely appreciate, and the episode perfectly blends the two stories into one delightful little Archer adventure. Turns out Lana's dad had developed an algae that could become a never-ending fuel supply, and his research gets stolen. Archer fights to get it back and get an invitation to the family reunion, and we discover that Slater was behind the theft, since Big Oil wouldn't be thrilled if they were suddenly put out of business. The episode is terrifically human while also giving Lana a chance to be a super spy, a misunderstood daughter, and a mother all at once. It's an episode that needed to happen and is handled absolutely brilliantly. The Canes is a hot tub human stew brewing 9 out of 10. Slater needs to get the fingerprints and electronics of the Durrani royal family, and so he enlists the spy crew to use Tunt Manor as a trap to get the prince and the queen sedated and their prince stolen. While Cheryl gives them a tour of Tunt Manor, Archer decides he wants to sleep with the queen, and Cyril keeps trying to get Lana to see that Archer is just sleeping around all the time and hasn't changed at all, hoping she'll get back with him and not Sterling. Lana then tries to seduce the prince to show she's still got it, and the two begin to compete. Prince Fawad would be played by Sami Sheikh, and Queen Yasmin would be played by Nakar Zadagan. We also get to see Pam and Archer just genuinely getting along. Even back in Edie's wedding, we saw this strictly platonic bond build between the two, and I don't know, I really like that Archer and Pam are just really, really good friends that always have each other's backs. Pam adores AJ, and she's always rooting for Archer to succeed. Archer needs a friend like that, and it really just kind of shines as one of the greater elements of the show. Oh, yeah, and Ray is getting hunted by giant plants. And when tensions boil over with Lana and Archer yelling at each other, they hook up as everyone else runs away. It's a lot of side stories, and it does cut to a lot of shorter vignettes, but Pocket Listing is just more fantastic old-school Archer with a little CIA twist. Again, the CIA element is really more a justification for what they're doing, and not the prime central driving factor for them. More of a passive force slowly pushing the narrative forward, rather than there being any kind of set goal. You could have the crew working for the CIA indefinitely, and it doesn't have to end after a season if you do it right. Pocket Listing just really exemplifies that the crew are really, really bad at their jobs and fail upwards every single time. Pocket Listing is a laxative-laced 9 out of 10. This episode genuinely infuriates me in hindsight. Lana and Archer are back together. They're rekindling their feelings and are actually way healthier than they've ever been. They're listening to each other, they're communicating, and deep down they both actually want this to work. They have a kid together. Archer has risked his life for Lana, and you can tell they genuinely and truly care for one another. So it stings that much more when the gang call Katya to come and sleep with Archer so he'll cheat on Lana and they'll break up. Archer sets up a big romantic dinner since Woodhouse has been missing all season, which I'm sure won't be brought up again, and as Lana scales the stairs, Archer's confronted by the robotic love of his life. She tries to make an advance on him, and Archer struggles, but genuinely tries to push her off of him to show that he's exclusively with Lana. He appreciates and deep down does still love Katya, but you see a true and honest maturity in his actions and wanting to do right by the mother of his child. He even unknowingly convinces the gang to slow Lana down so Katya can get out and their relationship isn't ruined. They want to save it because they actually see how healthy it is for him. He's able to genuinely get across his feelings, and you can tell he wants to do right by his daughter and Lana. It's such a fantastic display of all the growth Archer has had up to this point. It shows how deeply he cares about those closest to him deep down. He actually cares about Pam like a real friend. He's harsh on Cyril, sure, but he always does try to help him, and while he might make Lana's life harder, he's still putting her first in a crisis. Oh, and then Lana finds Katya's fleshlight attachment in the sink and everything gets ruined. It makes sense in the context of the season, but I want you to remember this episode when we get on the other side of the dream seasons, when things just stop making any amount of sense. It's really kind of tragic what happens. Reignition sequence is a flame reigniting 8 out of 10. After the confusion in Archer's penthouse, Archer drugs and kidnaps Lana, taking her on a mission to Wales to help save 2 members of the Free Wales Army. Dafydd, played by Jason Hughes, and Lloyd, played by Matthew Rice. Justin Edwards would also guest star. Lloyd and Dafydd try to blow up a dam, and now they're being hunted by MI5 while Lana is still processing everything Archer did. He tries to explain the situation as she is just not buying any of it, and again it's just misunderstanding being the main source of conflict. Though I will say, Matthew Rice is easily one of the best guest stars of the whole show. Jason Hughes is also great, don't get me wrong, but Lloyd is just so dumb, so patriotic, and charismatic in the absolutely best way. The explaining about the dam and the relocation efforts is absolutely amazing. It's just a really dumb story attached to Archer and Lana trying to figure out where things go from here. And I really appreciate that the whole episode is just this little adventure. You get Archer talking about how gorgeous Katya was, but then also saying he didn't do anything. He's not doing any of this to pull one over on Lana, he just wants her to understand, even if he did kiss her, he does still love Lana more. It's tricky and complicated, but that's life. Oh, and the B story is a very interesting deep dive into Snapple facts about MASH as Krieger and Cyril give Ray a new robotic hand, and I don't know. I really don't want to spoil any of that because it's some of Lucky Yates's best delivery in the show. There's a lot of charm, there's a lot of fun, and you can tell that B story was just something special. It's never really cut to for too long, and they make sure all the attention is on Archer and Lana, but man, every time they cut back, I feel that much more whole. It's one of those dumb stories that feels so Adam Reed in the best possible way. Achub e Morifiolod is a whale celebrating, Glenn Gooley chugging 8 out of 10. And here we are, the 2-part season finale. Wait, just 2 parts instead of 4? Oh my, this really is a return to form. I'm about this. Gary Cole and Christian Slater are back? Wowie zowie. It's kind of funny though. So last season, Fred Armisen guest starred, right? Well, this season, we have Dr. Sklodowska, who is the team lead on their last chance mission for the CIA. Dr. Sklodowska would be played by Carrie Brownstein, who famously worked opposite Fred Armisen on Portlandia. Oh, and TV's Michael Gray also guest stars, as TV's Michael Gray. Yeah, basically the gang has to shrink down in a tiny sub and go into a researcher's brain and destroy a blood clot, or they'll be blacklisted and fired from the CIA. Oh boy, it's the everyone gets shrunken down to go into someone's body and destroy something trope. I'm not really mad about it, and it makes sense, most shows do it, just really weird how many shows do it, you know? So they shrink down, Krieger gets everything messed up, and they inject into the doctor's foot instead of his neck, and things are looking bleak as part 1 ends. It's interesting to see Archer still feeling invincible, but actually worrying a little because of AJ and having both him and Lana on a mission. Again, there's a maturity to Archer that wasn't there before, and I honestly really love where they're going with it. This is setting up a lot of great elements, so surely everything will work out in part 2. Right? Right? With time running out, Archer wants to bail, but they end up going through a vein and riding it up the bloodstream to get to the clot. Archer gets out and blasts the clot, and they go to race towards the tear ducts. On the one hand, you really want this mission to be a success, right? They've worked hard and they've lost too many times, so they're due for a win. This is their time to really shine and show off they're not just bumbling idiots. And to their credit, they wouldn't have started running out of oxygen if TV's Michael Gray hadn't stowed away on board their tiny ship. Though Krieger is really the one that messed everything up. Archer makes the ship stall during a decontamination process, and sure enough, they don't make it and the whole medical floor gets crushed as the ship returns to normal size. The gang is blacklisted and left in the desert, where Archer starts scheming up their next plan. Granted, what he comes up with is pretty great, but I can't emphasize enough how much a lot of this could have been avoided without TV's Michael Gray getting in the way. Just seems like the CIA was looking for a reason to fire them or blacklist them from working in espionage. Hey, wait, maybe it's like it's some kind of plan to help launch a rogue organization or something. Yeah, that'd be cool. Sure would be weird if the plot points of this season finale were forgotten all of a sudden, but hey, I'm sure they won't be. This show is very smart, and this season was just more peak. Like, the episode is predictable, absolutely, but it's still not bad Archer. The jokes are great, Archer is acting way more mature, and even in the end of the episode, he's cheering everyone up and getting them hyped for their next big adventure on the horizon, and I really kinda love that for him. He is their natural-born leader. He is the one that will always lead the agency when no one else can. Drastic Voyage is a bloodstream sailing, tear duct eviscerating 8 out of 10. And there we have it, that's season 6. Anything you think I was right on, wrong on? What was your favorite episode of the season? Least favorite? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked what you saw, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Ultimately, season 6 was a perfect blend of old school Archer and new age growth. The CIA element was more of an excuse to go back to the old way of doing things and tell stories they just didn't get to do. We got outstanding one-off episodes, brilliant guest stars, and overall easily another banger of a season that shows the show was still working with something truly special. The unfortunate part? Technically, we're over halfway through the series and we still have 8 more seasons to review. This was our last full season, and talk about a season packed full of great adventures that made you want for more, and next season we're getting some absolute gems. From a MODOK designing recurring guest star to a very delightful episode, there's a lot to watch after you stop watching that show about Kevin when we review Season 7! Nothing rhymes with 7. But Kevin Can Go F Himself is really good. Anyway, that's going to do it for us here at the Lecture Hall. And if you want to support the channel or get any early access to content, consider joining our Patreon or membership program today. $2 a month and you get access to videos early, special polls, and even your name on this fancy list. Ooh! Thank you all so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me that you'd give our little channel a chance, and it has helped immensely. So remember, like always, stay strong, keep fighting that good fight, and even if you just woke up today, know that I'm proud of you. A rising tide lifts all ships, and I can feel one incredible wave coming. Stay strong, keep going, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.